cut, man. Let me see that again.
Yeah, you
Check
like
that
that?
out. Yeah, I love that. Captain America.
That was
So
a clearance GameStop find.
really
Yeah.
nice, man. Nice. We should probably like, message the fellowship and tell them to get over here so we're not by ourselves.
And I'm using my phone to do the live, so I
I
can't.
know. Same, same. So anyway. All right. So we're gonna talk Spider-Man tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before we get started, I gotta ask you, what have you been reading lately? Or have you been reading?
Hi. So I just went on a trip up to Wisconsin to see my family,
Yeah.
and it's with kids. It's about a 10-hour drive, so it's kind of long.
Yeah.
While we were up there, we also bopped over to Lambeau Field to go Pack Go. So I had a lot of Audible time, and I listened to the entirety of Nightmare Virus by Nadine Brandis.
Nice.
Have you read that one yet?
I have not.
Okay, I put you on the spot. Sorry.
Do what?
But I put you on the spot. Sorry.
No, I have not read that one. I have read, of course, I read the Out of Time trilogy,
Mhm.
the 3 books, and I read what was it called? Fox and was it Romanov? Romanov, yeah.
Mhm.
So I've read those, but I've not read the Nightmare Virus, which is weird because
It
for
was
some
good.
for somebody who's an apocalyptic fan,
Mhm.
um, you think I should be I'd be all over it, but for some reason it has not been something that I have gotten yet. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
And then I'm also reading.
Oh yes,
Finally getting to this. It's been on my read TBR for a
yeah.
while.
That and I told Zach this when we were at Railmakers. I said me and Steve were reading it at the same time. Me and Steve Raza, and we kept messaging back and forth, being like, "There is absolutely like nothing happening, but we love these characters so much. We're just turning the pages because we're just
Mhm.
enjoying it. It is cozy fantasy, and I just backed his new one on
Nice.
Kickstarter. So I'm looking forward to that one coming in the mail. So. All right, so I have been reading. Of course, I'm doing my Star Wars expanded
Mhm.
universe reread. I am doing Labyrinth of Evil by James
Mhm.
Luceno, which is the prequel to Revenge of the Sith. So this takes place right before and pretty much ends right when Revenge of the Sith picks up. So that is what I am reading. And speaking of Star Wars, man, you're gonna be happy with me. I built a new deck.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I built a new Star Wars Unlimited deck. I have Obi-Wan Kenobi as my leader, and I am on Crystal Caves. Now, here's my colors: green and white
Okay.
with a mixture of yellow in. That's
How's
what I'm
that
going.
playing?
That's what I'm going for. So,
Nice.
so somebody's here. We got James says, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on, James?" So, um, Miles is very much a aggro style player. He's got a lot of reds,
Mhm.
and he will like flood the board with resources, and then just like go all out, like trying to just take me down as fast as possible.
Mhm.
So, I'm hoping this deck right here will finally beat him, and that's my goal. So, anyway, it is Obi-Wan with the Crystal Caverns or Crystal Caves as the base.
Nice.
So,
Nice. It's been since Realmaker since I played. So I teach an 8th grade Bible class at my local private Christian school, and several of the students actually play Unlimited. So I'm looking forward to getting past some lessons when we got some downtime and maybe playing some
yeah.
Unlimited.
Yeah, there's a local shop here that does a lot of like Pokemon and One Piece
Mhm.
and Magic, but they don't do any Star Wars Unlimited. But I don't know. I kind of want to stop in and talk to them and ask them, hey, why don't we start a tournament or something like this
Yeah.
sometimes. All right, so you and I are going to talk Spider-Man tonight, man.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
brand new day. Now you saw it over the weekend. I went and saw it
Mhm.
Tuesday because it was
Yeah.
$5 Tuesday night, and so. Uh, I loved it.
Mhm.
And this movie is not stopping. I mean, my theater was sold out, and every theater on Tuesday night was sold out. So, I want to get your initial thoughts, and we'll talk about them because and we'll go through them a little bit and kind of talk it over. So, what were your initial thoughts, just right out of the gate?
First off, spoilers.
Yes.
If you haven't seen the movie,
Turn it off. We will talk about spoilers.
That was one of the things. Was I had to go. I was like, I got invited to go Thursday night, but I was busy, so I went Friday night with my family. Leaving the theater. Well, okay. I don't like spoilers, even to the point of, oh, I really loved it.
Yeah.
Because then that kind of messes with my expectations, which is fine. It happens. I'm a big boy. I can make that work.
Me too.
But I went in like thinking it was going to be really good. I liked the trailer, the tone, like even not like a weird cinephile or anything, but like the coloring was a little darker, a little bit more realistic, not so comic book bright colors. Like it looked good. From the trailer, we get the Hulk. From the trailer, we get Punisher. I'm like, okay, so are these guys just going to be blips and then they're gone? How's that going to look? More on that later. But my gut take as soon as I left the theater was that it was top 10 Marvel. It's definitely the best thing since Endgame. I think it's on that level. I think it's as competitive as Endgame. I've had people asking me all week, hey, what'd you think? What'd you think? What'd you think? Kind of how I rank the Spider-Man movies. Like I enjoyed the first one. It was a great setup. I liked the more Peter without a lot of the suits, without a lot of this extra stuff. It was good. I think Mysterio is one of the best villains Marvel has done. I loved Mysterio in 2. And then from 3, obviously 3 brought in the other 2 Spider-Man, and that just was a fantastic story. I loved bringing in the other Sony stuff. It just felt wholesome. I mean, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies were some of the first Marvel superhero movies that were out at the theater, and so for me, that's super nostalgic. It's super great. So 3 was really good, but I think Brand New Day blows them out of the water.
Yeah, I do too. And before we get started, everybody, Josh is over at Mr. Disco Man. That's his handle for YouTube. He does a lot of Minecraft YouTubers. He is a short story writer, but he's working on an awesome lit RPG novel that I've heard a lot about. And I'm excited about getting to read some chapters of that. Hint, hint, soon. So Josh is also an IT guy, your youth pastor. Floor security for Railmakers.
Certified grill master.
Yes. My roommate at Railmakers, the guy that keeps me sane at Railmakers.
So take a break and pause.
Yes. So anyway, head over to the Mr. Disco Man, subscribe to his channel. Right out of the gate, I honestly believe I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't seen a lot of trailers. And first of all, is it Sadie Sink? Sadie Sink, who played Max on Stranger Things, and became one of my favorite characters at the end of Stranger Things. I thought she nailed Jean Grey. I thought that and what I loved about the story with her is how they delayed her physical appearance as a character while still introducing the character. And and I thought that was just a brilliant mechanism of storytelling there that I hadn't really seen done, because you didn't really see her physically until like probably 30 minutes into the film, but yet the character was there the whole time. And one other thing that I like, whether it was Jean Grey, Frank Castle, which anytime John shows up as Frank Castle is just awesome.
So good.
And then the Hulk. Sometimes when you watch these Marvel films, and we're going to talk about why I think later why we think this one's doing so well compared to other superhero films, but sometimes when you watch these Marvel films, it feels like the connections and the cameos are there just for the heck of it, just to say, oh, we got the connections in. And this one, these connections, especially with Hulk and Frank, they served the story in a big way. They weren't just there for the purpose of just being there. They actually served the story, especially Frank. And I was surprised he ended up having as big of a role as he did in this film. And I love the angle, because these are, and I wrote this about this today in my Substack. This is a story really about identity. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Peter, all he knows is his work. He goes, he's Spider-Man. He comes home. Peter Parker's life's pretty sad.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have any friends. He sits there on his couch, doom scrolls. How many dads do we know do that? They leave college, get married, have children, nothing wrong with that. But then it's like they don't have friends. Making
Right.
friends becomes tougher. What becomes their identity? Their job, their
Yep.
career. And then next thing you know, they go home and they're doom scrolling and they're
Mm-hmm.
wishing and they're looking at things they probably shouldn't be. And same thing with women in a different way. And so I think this idea of relatable characters is kind of moving out, and
Mm-hmm.
this is an aspirational, but he's such an aspirational character because
Mm-hmm.
despite all that, he still serves his community. He's still
Mm-hmm.
the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He still goes out of his way to show compassion to people. He still goes out of his way to help people and to do the right thing. And that's inspiring in a middle way. But at the end of the day, it's still a story about identity. Who am I? And that's the question a lot of people ask. And I think that's one of the reasons Spider-Man always continues to sort of resonate with viewers
Mm-hmm.
in many ways. So those are some of my initial thoughts.
Yeah, that's really good. The thing with the Hulk and Punisher, it wasn't just fan service.
No.
Like you have a side character that shows up and the Marvel nerds are like, oh, I know that guy, that's cool. And then the scene's over. But when Peter knew that he was in trouble,
Yeah.
and he needed somebody with a science mind who was smarter than him to puzzle out a problem, he knew exactly who to go to.
Right.
And I loved that they brought Bruce in, and that whole scene was cheesy with the dude wearing the green. But yeah, I mean, Bruce is still a celebrity. People know who Bruce Wayne or Bruce whatever Bruce is. And they know who the Hulk is, but nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Nobody knows who Spider-Man or that whole thing. So I thought they did a really good job of tying that together. And when Jean was like, "No, I've got somebody else I got to go visit," you feel that doom of she's bringing out the big guns now. The
Yeah.
Yelena, I would say that was more of a cameo. That was more of a quick, hey, it's a bounce in, not a big part of the story. If the Avengers with a Z would have showed up and helped at the end of the movie or something, that's a little different. But the meager potatoes, great lines, good dialogue. It was punchy, it was funny.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed all of that. So
Yeah.
and like I've seen all of the Daredevil and the Punisher, and so I was really curious how they were going to do this rated R character in the PG-13 movie. And I will say as a dad, so I was going to bring my whole family, which includes my 9-year-old. So I have a 15-year-old son, 13-year-old daughter, 9-year-old daughter, and really wanted my wife to go. So I wanted all of us to go. And I'm like, man, I'm going to need to think about this with my 9-year-old. I was like, well, we'll have her hang out with my mom tonight. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't bring her.
Well, when he showed up that first time, and I thought, oh, this is it. That's the cameo. He's out of it. And then they go to his place, and I'm like, wait a minute. And I just kind of turned to the boys, and I was like, yeah, all right, guys, there's about to be some cursing. So,
Yeah, get ready.
But I loved it. I loved his the way he came into the story.
Yep.
And you got to see and what the contrast. These are two guys that don't have friends.
Right.
And they're friends in a weird way.
Yep.
And the way they played off of each other as actors was brilliant dialogue. And I mean, and I think that's just a testament of how great of actors those two guys really are.
Yeah, and apparently they're really close in real life and all that. And I think it's great when you can see that shine in a movie.
Yeah.
That to me, that is good acting.
Right. Absolutely. So, what I loved about it, and this is okay. Let's get into why I think some of this movie's blowing others out of the way. You look at Supergirl, didn't do very well. I mean, I didn't watch it. I'm just gonna be honest.
I haven't seen it. I want to. I'd like to watch it.
Yeah.
But there was nothing really driving me to the theater to go see it.
Same thing with like Ant-Man and Wasp. I didn't go to the theater to watch that. I watched it when it came out on, streaming. Same thing with a lot of these films. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, I know Superman did like 600,000 at theaters. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's not as much as Man of Steel." Okay, regardless of that, I mean, a Superman movie probably should do more than that. I mean, it should be close. I'm wondering if this isn't, a lot of people say superhero fatigue. So I don't think that there's
Mhm.
superhero fatigue. I think there's a lot of crossover franchise fatigue. And
Mm.
what I mean by that is, I think audiences show up for the big stories like Spider-Man. They're going to show up for probably Avengers Doomsday. They'll show up for a Batman movie.
Mhm.
Uh, they'll show up for those type of things, but they're not showing up for Supergirl. And I'll be
Mhm.
honest with you, I have no desire to see a movie about Clayface. I just really don't.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think there's a difference between giving the audiences the stories and the characters they care about versus
Right.
the ones where they're just kind of like, eh. Because here's the deal, guys like you and me who've read comic books, read graphic novels, all this stuff, we'll watch that stuff. But
Yep.
the regular mom and dad who's working the 8 to 5 with kids that just want to go watch a movie, most people don't even know who Clayface is.
Mhm.
And most people have never read a Supergirl comic book or
Mhm.
even watched the CW show, you know. And I'm wondering if some of these, and this is just a theory, it's I'm wondering if it's two things. If it's one, a storytelling aspect, but at the same time, if it's just like some of the audience just don't care about some of these characters. Like they'll
Mhm.
go watch them. It's cool to see them when they're in like you know, the big film. But for the
Mhm.
most part, they just don't care. Plus, you didn't have to watch 25 films to understand everything that was going on in this.
Mhm.
I mean, if you watched the first two and you had a little bit of an idea of what happened in Avengers Endgame, you're pretty much good.
Mhm.
And I think that's another thing is I think audiences, because here's the deal, the audiences that grew up with these films for all the way going all the way back to Iron Man, they're in college now. And they were kids when these movies were coming out.
Mhm.
Now they're
Yeah.
in college. Now they're in a different part of life. So it's a different you're targeting a different type of family than you were targeting
Mhm.
7, 8, 9 years ago. So that's just my thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on
Yeah.
what you think this one is hitting so
Um,
hard when others aren't.
I will also say that I don't know that this was the strongest storyline. There was no big, crazy, wild twists that nobody saw coming. I will say that the biggest shock for me, again, spoilers, was that Sadie Sink was actually Jean Grey,
Hmm.
which all the rumors pointed to, and all of the internet sleuths were all picking out. Nope, that's who this is. But hey, she could be this. She could be this. She could be this. So when she was like, "No, it's Jean Grey," I was like, "Oh, okay, that's the route they're going.
Yeah.
We're going mutants. We're going X-Men. Let's go." Like I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see where the MCU is going to take Marvel with the X-Men. I mean, I stood in line for was whatever year, 1999, whatever year X-Men
Nice.
came out. Gosh, I'm old.
I'm older than
Stood in
you,
line for
man.
that movie, and it was amazing. I loved it. And so I'm here for what Marvel's doing.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I think that Marvel's track record in Phase 5 or whatever phase this is hasn't been great.
Yeah.
And so everybody's been, all of the Spider-Man movies have hit and knocked it out of the park and done really well. I think, was it the third one was in the top 10 of how much money they made opening weekend?
Yeah.
And Brand New Day blew Endgame out of the water, is what I
Yeah.
understand now.
Hit
Um,
360 million domestically, which went past Endgame at
That's
355 million.
crazy. Yeah, that's wild. Um, but this movie was what's the word? Like attainable. It was graspable. It
Right.
wasn't this huge cosmic thing happening. This huge. If you didn't watch the last 6 movies, you're not going to know what you're doing. Um, I tend to kind of drag my wife to the Marvel stuff. She enjoys them. She likes them, but she doesn't get the depth that I do and that you do because we're comic book nerds. but she enjoys them, and she loved this one. She thought it was great. My 13-year-old daughter is super into Spider-Man right now, and she's like, I'm gonna buy the movie and watch it every day for 6 months. And so, there was a lot of good in the movie. It wasn't this thing where, hey, there's these scenes that were super slow and got kind of boring, and there's the slog you got to get through. The whole movie was great. Like, it was paced well. And even then, like, when I talk about, hey, maybe the story was a little weak, it's not the same story. It's not the same Jean Grey that we grew up with in comic books.
Right.
I loved the true villain of the movie with damage control. I loved that they took their slogan of, hey, we take bad things and we turn them for good. That sounds like a great thing, right? Don't we want that in life? Well, that can be heavily and easily manipulated. So I think that was great. I loved that. I do think the VMAX reveal missed a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I think the pacing in that one scene was maybe a little too fast. I think if they would have slowed it or reframed, I'm not a cinematographer. It hit so fast, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, let's move on. But I thought it was really good. I think it's interesting that one of the things I was talking to some of my buddies about when we saw the movie. So Jean Grey's power set is not just transferring her consciousness to other bodies, okay? But a Jean Grey who's not been trained by Charles Xavier and whose sister was also untrained, maybe that's all they figured out. And so towards the end of the movie, where she uses telekinesis a little bit more, she's crushing objects, she's making stuff explode, she's moving glass. It's like, yeah, this is the Jean Grey that people are gonna know and be afraid of.
Yeah, and one of the things I thought was interesting is you did not have to know anything about X-Men or who Jean Grey was to enjoy that character. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just like, they would talk about, oh, I thought that was a great character, and I was like, well, it's from X-Men. They're like, oh, really? And they had no idea, and because they're not comic book, geeks like you and me, or they just they're just not into it that much. But you did not have to know who Jean Grey was at all. You didn't have to have any knowledge of the X-Men, nothing. You really didn't even have to have knowledge of who Frank Castle is. Now, everybody knows who the Bruce Banner is, and everybody knows who Incredible Hulk is, because it's been a part of pulp culture going all the way back to, what was it, Lou Ferrigno or whatever? Yeah. I mean, it's because it was network television and things like that. A lot of people know who the Hulk is.
And everybody knows who Frank is.
Right. A lot of people don't know who Frank Castle is. No. A lot of people, and you didn't have to know anything about him. I mean, you didn't have to know anything about Jean Grey. All you had to know was Spider-Man, and that was it. And so I think it was a perfect introduction for. Do what?
It's approachable.
Right. It's approachable, and it was one of those films where you can. It's a starting point, really, when you think about for people to jump in. Now, this thing's going to hit probably, I don't know if it'll get the 2 billion. It's probably already past 1 billion right now based off of, what I'm seeing. But it'll definitely skyrocket past 1 billion this weekend for sure because of word of mouth. Really? But I would be surprised if it comes close to that 2 billion mark. And but I don't know if Avengers Doomsday's going to hit the same mark. It may very well do that. But what concerns me about Avengers Doomsday, you and I know all this, but like us going back, the regular 9 to 5 mom and dad with kids and stuff like that, they probably aren't aware of the Fantastic Four. They probably haven't, they probably know who the X-Men are. How many people actually, so I wonder if we're not bringing too many characters in for that one. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I could be completely wrong, but
yeah, I think that Marvel made a good decision putting this movie out before Doomsday.
Yeah, I do too. I agree with that.
I think there's going to be a pretty big hype train. Doomsday already has a lot going for it, a lot of questions that I have, a lot of like, hey, we've got Robert Downey Jr. back in playing Doctor Doom.
All right.
How are they going to do that? Like, there's a billion ways they could do it, and I'm like, I need to know. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see some of these fight matchups that they've been talking about that are in some of the trailers. Gambit versus Shang-Chi. I think it's going to be really cool to see these characters crossing paths. And to see where they go with it. Now, I will say that after the trailer, I know we're talking about Spider-Man here, but after the trailer for Doomsday, I almost think that my hype lowered a little bit because it just felt like Infinity War all over again.
Mm.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but
No.
I'm curious. I know it's going to end on a Empire Strikes Back. The bad guys are going to be winning, the good guys are going to be losing, and it's going to feel like all hope is lost. But that's not where they're going to leave us, and I know that. And so I'm just curious to see where it's going to go.
I am too, and like I agree. I think it was smart for them to put this one out, Spider-Man out before Avengers Doomsday, because I think it builds hype going into it. And but I mean, you look at all these franchises that have been coming out lately, and they've just been a lot of them been bombing. Like we talked about, Supergirl bombed. You know, I don't know what James Gunn's DC universe is planning. You know, like I mean, I didn't mind Superman. I liked Superman. I thought
it was good.
I thought it was good. But like I said, I have zero desire to see Clayface. I just really don't. I don't care about the character that much. And so I'm curious to see what they end up doing, because it just feels like DC, and of course I know Warner Brothers has got a mess going on right now with this Paramount thing, and where are they going? Where are they going to go? Marvel seems to have reset. Coming out of phase this is phase 5, right?
I think so.
Yeah, phase 5. And they seem they're sort of resetting. And like I said, this is a perfect jumping in spot for anybody who hasn't seen anything. And now they can go back and rewatch the other ones on Disney Plus or whatever for the next 6 months. But I mean, you look at all these franchises like Star Wars, even, me, a Star Wars fanatic back here, is disappointed with some of the things that have come out. I liked Mando and Grogu, but it didn't do that well in the theaters. It just didn't. Yeah. And it just makes you think, what is Spider-Man hitting? Brand New Day. What is it hitting that these other franchises are just flat out missing? And that's the thing I honestly just can't quite put my finger on. I know a little bit of it is storytelling. There's some storytelling problems in some of these other films. But another problem is that, we keep hearing about the fatigue of superheroes and superhero fatigue, but yet I think this kind of proves that maybe there's not superhero fatigue. Maybe it's franchise fatigue, like I was saying earlier. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. And I've seen all the theories, and I don't always agree with all of them. So,
well, something else I'd say about Brand New Day was like I said, the whole movie was enjoyable. There wasn't a lot of slog. There was a lot of show don't tell. Kind of jumping into one of the main story arcs is Peter's DNA is changing in the movie, and I thought that was that's straight out of the comics. It was a great piece of the storyline to start talking about. I thought they did a good job. I in my head they can always do something different, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. But they didn't over-explain anything. They didn't overanalyze everything. You knew when Peter was anxious and feeling off, the headaches the whole time. I thought they did a really great job of not shoving it down your throats of all this science mumbo jumbo and how is he gonna get out of it?
Yeah.
He's just dealing with it. Like we all deal with the problems that we face every day. Peter's just dealing with it and trying to stay afloat. And I thought they did that pretty good.
Yeah, what I like this film put a lot of things in the background.
Yeah.
That and put the character up front. And that's what I like the most. It put a lot of things in the background, the connections. Like I said, Bruce Banner, frank, they served the story. They weren't just
Mhm.
there. You know, comic books have always had social issues,
Mhm.
that they've had in their storytelling aspects. Any social issues, they were in the background, providing context. Peter Parker struggles to pay his rent. I mean, these are type of things that were um, is so. I mean, those things were in the background, and I think that's
Mhm.
why this story was so well done. So I don't know. For me, I loved it. I'd love to go back and see it again.
Mhm.
Um, but I am looking forward. It makes me look forward to Doomsday.
Yeah.
And that weekend, by the way, December 18th, when that comes to theaters, you're gonna have Doom 3 and Avengers Doomsday come out on the same weekend. I'm gonna have to, you know, I don't know. I won't be able to afford to go to both of them the same weekend, but I'll definitely hit one weekend, the other the
Yeah.
next weekend. So
So I got one more question before
go
we
ahead.
move anywhere else. So let's talk about the ending a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay. So we've got MJ reading the letter and turning her back. She doesn't know who Peter is. I thought that was a great move. It wasn't a happy moment for Peter. Um, and you've got Ned and Spider-Man playing Lego
yeah,
on the floor. That was great. That was fantastic. I loved it.
right,
Um, I will say for a movie with a famous actor, Tom Holland, he wore the mask a lot in the film, and a lot of big name actors they want their face shown a lot, and I thought that he did a great job of pushing the character of Spider-Man
right.
just as much as he did the character of Peter Parker. So
Well, yeah.
go ahead.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying about how all he ever knows is his work.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, he was in a costume so much. And when you go
Hmm.
back and read the old comic books, especially the Golden Age and Silver Age, I mean, there was one where Superman is a referee at a baseball game and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon for those type of things, for in comic books to always be just walking around in costume and stuff. And I love that part.
Hmm.
It is it somebody says it was the protection.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's still trying to hide who he is.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what I'm saying is a lot of time actors they don't want to wear the mask or the helmet because they need their
True.
face seen because they're an actor. That's their face is them. But so here's the question:
Okay.
did Ned get all of his memories back?
I think at some part Ned recognizes some things. I
Yeah.
don't think he recognizes everything, like the handshake. I think
Hmm.
he recognizes that, but I don't think Ned recognizes everything.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're not going to undo that somehow. The handshake was muscle memory. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what that is. That's muscle
Yeah.
memory.
And I think they did a good job of again not telling you
Yeah, showing you.
because there's two. I think there's two options. I think one, MJ calls Spider-Man Peter.
That's true.
And Ned looks over and was like, Peter? Like
Peter.
that's and
And
then
he doesn't make the connection. It takes him a minute to make the connection at the
yeah,
gas station, cafe, or whatever it is he's at.
yep.
So yeah,
So it
I
could
don't.
be that Ned just said, "Oh, Peter, Spider-Man, Peter, you're Spider-Man," kind of a thing. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. The second theory that I did, this one's not an original. I did see this one online, but when Jean catches everybody in that big bubble,
Mm,
and including MJ and Ned, MJ's crying.
she
Okay,
is.
why would she be crying? Other than fear, that's the thing. Or was everybody in this bubble reliving various memories? And if that's the case, was she reliving memories of Peter?
Mm. Well, if that's the case, was Ned? Did Ned have those same, memories?
Right.
And
Now,
so,
I will say the flaw in that is if that's the case, then everybody in New York knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So that
uh,
kind of breaks that a little bit. So
yeah. And that's a good point. We have it in the chat. That's the big question is how
yeah,
much they remember.
yeah.
Um, it's I don't know. I keep thinking maybe they're gonna reveal that in some way. I thought the Spidey tracker was just fun,
Oh yeah,
and the fact that Frank had it in the band, I thought was fun. I love the. What's one thing I loved about this is the comedic elements
yeah,
were timed perfectly. They
yeah,
weren't just like like the part where he's fighting the hand and they start doing the stair step thing. And he's just like, "That's so cool." It's like, dude, you're in the
yeah.
middle of a fight, but that's Peter Parker. I mean, that's the Peter Parker side of him coming out.
Right.
So I don't know what to think about that last scene.
I think it's obvious.
What do you think?
I think it's Secret Wars.
You think so?
Yeah.
I was leaning that way, but then I was just kind of like, well, I
Unless,
unless
unless
unless what?
Doomsday is all about these three worlds coming together and merging. There's going to be, I can't think of what the word, an incursion. Okay.
Okay.
So it's possible that the Spidey tracker was picking up a different Spider-Man on one of these other worlds.
Okay.
So if the world of the Fantastic Four film, and then the Warner Brothers X-Men film, and then Earth 616, the Marvel MCU,
Yeah.
those are the three worlds that are going to be merging, and the incursion for Doomsday, and then spoiler if you don't read comics, but Doom remakes all the worlds into
Yeah.
Battle World,
Yeah.
and I'm honestly way more hyped for Battle World and Secret Wars than I am for Doomsday,
I am too.
because that's just going to be like no holds bar, all kinds of fights, crazy people crossing over to different worlds and genres, and I think that's going to be pretty cool.
I
So,
I I honestly need to go back and reread these. I don't even know if I have the graphic. I don't know if I have them, but I think I need to get them and reread Secret Wars
mhm,
because it has been golly so long since I read Secret Wars.
yeah.
Um,
Check out Comixology if you don't have them,
yeah,
or the Marvel one that you can get a ton of comics on.
yeah, I'll probably do that instead of because I mean graphic novels are just getting ridiculously overpriced right now.
Yeah.
um, I'll probably
So,
do it.
so one of my questions is are any of the Sony Spider-Man, so either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, are they in the Marvel or the X-Men Warner Brothers universe?
Hmm.
So are we going to see one of them in Doomsday, or are we not going to see them in Doomsday? I think it'd be interesting because then if they come back and they recognize the Tom Holland Peter Parker, I think that'd be fun. I think that's a cool way of bringing that back in. I'm sure at least in Battle or in Secret Wars, we're going to see multiple Spider-Man.
I think we will too, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm like you. I feel like Doomsday, like what I think is Brand New Day was kind of the new entry point.
Hmm.
You know, Doomsday is kind of the first act, and
Yeah,
then we're going to move into everything with Secret Wars,
yeah.
which I
And then I
think.
think we're going to see recastings. I think we're going to see new trilogies of Thor, of Iron Man, of all these different characters that we know and love. I think we're going to start seeing just the next age for that,
Yeah.
and I think that's fine. They've got to do it at some point, and
Well, I mean, Black Widow's new, so
Mhm.
so. What'd you think of her?
It was good. I thought it was funny. Here I've got my teenagers in a theater, so I'm like, well, let's see where this spa scene's gonna go. But him walking out, there's only one thing I would have asked for maybe a little better. If he would have walked out with his mask and the white boxers with the hearts on it, because isn't that like a pretty common Spider-Man thing? He walks out with like the heart boxers wearing his mask. That would have
Uh,
just elevated that scene for me.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. It took me a minute to realize that's who she was, but
Hmm.
I got it right off as soon as So man, I liked it. I thought it was good,
Yeah,
and I thought it was.
it's
I
one
thought it
that
was fun.
I would watch it again.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing with me. It's like if I will watch it again, um, then I'm all in. And like I said, I think some of these other franchises they got to figure it out because the
Yeah.
fans are there. They're
Hmm.
just not. They're just not connecting with them for some
Hmm.
crazy reason. they're not connecting with them. So you've seen it 2 times, man. Wow, that's awesome. All right, I'm gonna have to have you back on sometime.
Yeah,
And you and I are gonna have to talk about Star Wars Unlimited decks
yeah.
and
We
kind of
should do
go.
it like I don't know if we can figure out how to do it, play it over
Ooh,
YouTube.
that'd be cool. We could figure that out. Play a
We
match over
have to figure
YouTube.
something out. Yeah.
Yeah, we could. We're creative guys, right? We can
Yeah.
figure it out. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for having me.
appreciate it. Yeah. And everybody go check out Josh's YouTube channel. He's playing some cool Minecraft games. I watched your latest episode. I liked it. I thought it was
Thanks,
good.
man.
It's always cool to see the edge get in there and see everybody chatting with one another and everything. So go to Mr. Disco Man and check out the some Minecraft videos. And so all right, Josh, I'm gonna end this and I will talk to you later, dude.
Thanks, man. We'll see
All
you.
right. See ya.